this to order the meeting of January 19th of the Public Health and Safety Committee. Carrie, will you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Councilor Clark? Councilor Herbstrick?
Here.
And Councilor Beach?
Here.
We have before us the minutes of the November 17th Public Health and Safety Committee meeting. Unless there's edits, changes, or deletions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Now is time on the agenda for public comment. Were there any comments received online? Is there anyone here wishing to speak? If so, you have 3 minutes. Nope. Okay. We do have a green sheet item, so our first item here is I'd like to, or do you want to make a motion?
I make a motion to add it to the agenda.
All right, I would second that motion.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So this, this is a tax permit appeal, a taxi permit appeal by Joe Chapman, presented by Captain Doug Watson, Winchester Police Department. What's that?
Mr. Chapman.
Oh, good. Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yep.
The item that we're bringing forward today is on December 27th, 2021. Mr. Chapman applied for and filled out an application for a public vehicle driver's license. On the back side of the application, it asks the applicant to detail all their criminal history, including traffic charges. He did list 2 traffic charges and 2 criminal charges. And per the background that was completed on Mr. Chapman, it was found that he had a total of 12 criminal charges in Virginia. 8 of those he was convicted, 3 felony convictions and 5 misdemeanor convictions. Again, all those with the 2 shopliftings not listed on the application. He signed that application in front of a notary public. That application does state that it declares that under oath that he is not listed by either database except as was above, and the databases are that of a criminal record and central registry for child abuse, which he was not a part of. He was denied the public vehicle driver's license due to his criminal history, to his driving record, which included 4 driving suspended charges from 2013 to 2020, and failing to disclose all criminal history on the application as required. A certified letter was mailed to him that he stated he received on today, January 19th, 2021. He came in today and made his appeal to his denial, of course, which we followed through with this here today.
Thank you. Questions?
Yeah, if I may.
Yep.
Thank you, Chairman. Captain, on this, on the back where the charges are listed, does it specify any time frame, or does it just say any and all, or what's it say?
The actual verbiage on the application states, have you at any time been charged with or pled guilty to or entered a plea of nolo contendere to the violation of any city, state, federal, or other criminal law, including traffic charges? It gives you a box to check yes or no. He did check yes. And it says, if so, in bold lettering, list all as capitalized and underlined charges. And then later, it says, I declare under oath that I am not listed in either database except as disclosed above. In speaking with Mr. Chapman, and you know, I'm sure he can articulate for himself, I think he claimed that he did not understand that all that information had to be disclosed, and of course I'll let him explain that, but he just felt that he went through the form rather quickly and didn't list all that information out.
Has there ever been a denial for either any items on that page of criminal history or admitting?
Yes, sir. In the just roughly 7 months I've been in the position, this is the third denial for a taxi permit that has occurred either for a lack of disclosing criminal history. The other one was not appealed. One was appealed, but the person didn't show up to the hearing.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you.
So do we make a recommendation and then this goes to city council, or do we address it right here?
So you address it here.
Okay.
Mr. Chapman, I'll let you speak.
Okay, yeah.
May I add just one
Yeah.
more thing, please? I do want to say that Mr. Chapman, in our dealings with him today, has been very cordial and very understanding of what our outcomes were. And so I just want to say that he's been pleasant to deal with throughout the whole situation, even though it hasn't been in his favor.
Yeah, Mr. Chapman, if you want to come and address us.
So my defense, I want to apologize. As the gentleman stated, as the captain here stated, which in fact was the case, when I was going through this application, I was not meaning to not disclose any information, because obviously I knew that all of my background would be found. And of course, this is an application for employment. So I would not want to do anything to jeopardize that on the purpose to try to not disclose any information. And again, this was a time-sensitive application. I was in a hurry, I had a lot of things going on, and I did skim through it. However, on my actual criminal background, there are several charges. I do not have, unfortunately, I was not able to obtain that paperwork today. I went to the state police barracks because I was informed by a deputy at the courthouse that I needed to go there to obtain a copy of my criminal history. However, I was misinformed. I went to the state police barracks in the Kernstown, and they informed me that I needed to go through Richmond, through the state police in Richmond in order to obtain that. And unfortunately, due to the time frame today, I was not able to obtain my criminal record for today. But I do know for a fact that there were several charges. Back in 2016, I was a victim of identity theft. And in fact, there was a person by the name of Chase Chapman who had used my social security number and my information and had gave the state police, he was pretending to be me. And in fact, I was actually arrested overnight and was held in the jail here over a charge that I did not do. And then the next day, of course, it was found that I was not the actual person. So there are some charges on my criminal, I believe they were dismissed, but it still stands on that background. And again, I do apologize. That was my mistake for not going into complete detail. Like I said, I skimmed through the application, but not purposely, meaning to not withhold or try to hide any kind of background information, because again, I knew that, you know, they would have access to the network. I believe it's NCIS network or whatever it's referred to. And so I knew that, you know, all that would be disclosed. So of course I wasn't trying to hide anything. And again, this is for an employment. So I didn't want to do anything to jeopardize my chances of being able to get issued that permit. And in fact, since that time, I have been issued by the Governor's Office of Virginia, Secretary of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Restoration of Rights. I showed this to the police chief earlier, and he simply stated that this was just a restoration of my voting rights. However, it indicates on here that it says your right to vote, to run for office, to serve on a jury, and to be a notary public was restored as of the date of this application was closed, which was dated 10/1 or October 1st, 2018. And the status on here is granted. So when I look at this, I interpreted this as me being a law-abiding citizen once again, that my civil rights have been granted. I have not had any kind of criminal charges since, I believe, 2016. I am not looking at any current charges. I do not have any violent criminal background. I do not have any kind of nothing violent, nothing sexual in nature, nothing involving endangerment of children or any kind of abuse of children. So I take this, I'm not a threat to the public safety and well-being of the public.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Counselor, you have other questions?
Yes, if I may. Captain, if this is denied, upheld today, what does an applicant have to ability to come back at a later date? Is there a time frame?
I don't believe that the city code gives any further type of opportunity to reapply. I believe and I don't know off the top of my head, but I believe it is a final decision if this committee decides to uphold.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think if Mr. Chapman were to bring forth some information like he indicated, I think that probably, in light, I think you do have the option, if he were to bring forward some information that would indicate the background check was inaccurate or something. We just don't have anything like that now to state that it was. So I'm sure there would be some type of opportunity afforded him to him if the background check itself was inaccurate, if that were to be the case. But otherwise, Captain's right. It's, today's decision would be final.
If I may.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing is the application here in front of us, and that's what we're ruling on. So, knowing that there could be an opportunity for a reapplication, I'd support this and say I'd make a motion to uphold the denial.
Yeah, I would second that.
Motion to council vote.
Yeah, do we need a?
Just a motion and a
roll call?
vote.
Yeah. Motion. Oh,
Aye.
Aye. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is a presentation regarding the campaign for grade level reading. And this will be done by Matt Peterson, Executive Director, John and Janice Wyatt Foundation, and Andy Gale, Executive Director, Literacy Volunteers. You guys want to come up? Just clicks the link there and it should.
of a collective impact effort, is creating this community conversation around what we see as the importance of third grade literacy, but what we're really trying to accomplish is trying to improve our children's outcomes, particularly our lowest income learners and the ones that are struggling the most, to help them graduate high school more ready, to get more college and career ready, to reduce chronic absenteeism, and just to overall increase their opportunity for success later in life. And the third grade reading marker is a critical milestone that impacts and really is a predictor of a child's success. One of the most the greatest predictors that we have, but probably more so, it's about creating that community to come together from all the disparate aspects that impact a child's life, not just saying school district, go fix the readiness scores of our kids, go reduce chronic absenteeism, get kids more in school and more connected. It's about bringing parents together, it's about bringing all the different aspects of housing and health and food security to all come together and work together, knowing that we have a very clear target, which is this third grade literacy. As you see here on this slide, there's a number of ways that the campaign really looks to address this issue. Look at out of school time, which is really keeping kids connected to school, to mentors, to opportunities to see a different way of life outside of the home, and also to reduce summer slide during the summer programming. It's about academic readiness improvement, which is clearly the most obvious that we focus on. And it's also about keeping kids and families connected. When we look at our actual campaign here in Winchester, Literacy Volunteers is taking on the backbone or lead agent for the campaign. We as a foundation are providing financial support to it, as well as our time and energy, so that we're going to be committed to this for at least 10 years. And then we've got all of our coalition members out there that are going to be working aligned with a common vision and a common set of metrics that we're going to be working off of, focusing on those three buckets that you see there: readiness, out of school time, and school attendance. Those four are our primary targets that we're shooting for the next 10 years, increasing SOLs for literacy from 54% to 75%, improving kindergarten readiness by looking at the PALS case score in particular, reducing chronic absenteeism at our elementary schools, which is aligned with their Empower 2025 strategic plan, and we want to double the number and percentage of kids in elementary school that have opportunities for after-school and summer programming. We are going to be collecting a lot of data. This is going to be data-driven. We have a system called Smart Sheets that we're using to collect this. On the screen is just an example that we're already collecting that's looking at population level data for Winchester, Dorchester, and Fairfax County, which are our three target sites. The only reason I put this in the slide deck is it just shows a graphic representation of what our data is also going to be looking like for the campaign. We'll have graphic scores, there'll be health markers, targets, baselines for a variety of indicators that are all going to be centered around improving readiness, decreasing absenteeism, and increasing quality out-of-school summer and after-school programming. And that's going to be, again, a set of metrics that we're going to be developing as a coalition over the next year or so. And that's a living document that will continue to grow and build. We do have a number of early wins that we're already working on. Our foundation with Winchester Public Schools has already expanded the pre-K program. We added a 9th classroom. We are funding the hiring of a Winchester Public School teacher, Ashley Glass, who is running our quality coach program, which is working with the state to conduct class observations on our pre-K programs throughout the city, not just within Winchester Public Schools, but with Head Start and some of our other programs that are out there, like Child Haven, that are taking subsidies that are nonprofit organizations, with the ultimate goal to improve the teacher quality and improve the student outcomes outside of the school district. Healthy Families has got a big grant that just came in for home visitation programs. It's going to be working with some of our social determinant of health issues that are impacting our children. Literacy Volunteers just signed one for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which we're now bringing to Winchester, along with a strategic alignment of all of our little libraries and putting all of those in the city under one roof, getting in our public parks, as well as a better way to maintain, increase the numbers of them, and then make sure they're stocked and managed. And then we also start to count usage and uptake of those little library boxes. And we're working with the Kids Club to look at a strategic plan for them that we can help improve and scale their opportunities. Now that they own a building, we feel that they can probably more than double their current kids seating at this time, given the right resources. Those are just a few. There's obviously a lot more going to be going into each of those buckets as we begin that alignment. Tonight, again, I know I sent a letter to council, probably last year, letting you know that this was coming. As Andy mentioned, we are now official members within the campaign nationally. Our representation and participation in terms of partnering agreements and members is growing. We just got Lord Fairfax's early learning program just joined. Shenandoah University Center for Literacy just joined. Winchester Book Gallery just joined. And so we're going to continue to grow that. What we're here tonight is just to, again, let you know it's here. We had the National Family Literacy Month proclamation from Mayor Smith was just approved in November. And we just really want you to be aware of this, to support it. We're not asking for anything at this time, but do hope that City Council, through the support with the school district, and all of these organizations that are working together for this common cause, that you're aware, support, and would potentially help us promote and reinforce the messaging that we're going to be really blitzing in the next couple of years, and just try to find ways that we can align resources to help these kids and improve these outcomes over time. We do see this as the third grade reading marker is a lagging indicator. It will take time. The results from the the fall of this year were pretty bleak for what some of the kids' outcomes have been in the testing in October, November. But we do feel that the next few years we should see great improvements and great strides based on all of the different activities that we're going to be doing collectively to make this city a better place. And ultimately, down the road, we hope that this is a workforce issue, and that we get these kids graduating on time, out of the court system, and into jobs. That is our presentation, and just and again, the last thing is I hope we can get this in front of council in full at some point when appropriate. I will stop there and pending any questions from the committee.
Thank you. I appreciate you all taking on this task. It's a huge task, and it's well needed, and the numbers reinforce that we're way behind. Whether they go to college or not, we got to owe them a good education. I saw you mention a grant. Do you anticipate a majority of your funding coming from grants, or are they available out there for this?
They are. Looking at it with literacy, we always focus on the adult education. Now we've expanded our mission to do all ages, and then adding the campaign, there's a lot of opportunity. We've seen a lot more increased support from the community as well as grants as a whole, looking at early ed, but then that family literacy was sort of the cradle to the grave options. There's a lot of support out there, both nationally and locally.
Yeah, and we just shared, obviously our foundation is going to be providing support year in and year out. There's 3 grants from Bank of America Trust that we just shared with Opportunity Scholars, with Andy with the Kids Club, that are regional grants. I think the state of Virginia, as early childhood education moves towards this, from Smart Beginnings to these ready regions, United Way of Charlottesville is going to be overseeing the ready region to include Winchester City. There's a lot of movement, I think, in the state that's going to offer also grant opportunities for mixed delivery programs, for VPI type programming as well. So I think there's a lot more coming, and I think in the next few years, the landscape in early childhood is changing fairly rapidly now, and I think will continue to do so, and I think that'll also bring opportunity outside of the city. Never mind, I think there's a lot of interest already locally from the same sort of donor pool that we normally see, that I think will look at these type of opportunities, and us as an internal broker to say, how do we want to provide funding, we want to see data, we want it to be done well, and we want to be working with trusted organizations that can do that. And I think this will also be a way to help give that level of trust to those that are looking for a way to give, that are either doing now, want to do more, or differently.
Again, Andy and Matt, appreciate you taking the reins on it, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's certainly, I think, clearly from the map of the, across the country. I actually had a couple of points I wanted to make about the slides, so if you could bring those back up again.
I didn't mean to turn them off, I just pushed something.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, I think this is something that communities across the country struggle with, is ensuring that our kids, that all kids have an opportunity and are able to get to grade level reading at 3rd grade. So it's great that we've got a focused effort here. And we've talked about this, I would encourage you to continue to, work with Winchester Public Schools. That's probably going to be your best vehicle. I did want to just mention, and this is just something that, take it for what it's worth. Look, I don't know, it just kind of jumped out at me when I was going through the slides. On the slide that says challenge, back, yeah, keep going the other, yeah, there you go, yeah, there you go. So when I first saw this, and then I saw minority enrollment, it seemed like minority enrollment was a challenge. And I get what you're probably saying, but I think minority enrollment is a positive. And so I just think, as I went through this, I always try to look at things from the lens of, the diversity in our community, and certainly making sure that we're being respectful and recognizing the contributions that our, the diversity in our community brings to the community. And I mean, certainly concerning numbers, I guess that was one of my questions with regards to, so are you all, what's your baseline year? Is it going to be 2020? What are you looking at?
Yeah, no, our baselines are the 2018-2019 school year.
Okay, so
we'll see what was sort of pre-COVID norm, and then dip, and then hopefully sort of jump back.
That's good, because I was thinking if you're going to use 2020, then it would be way down here, and you'd be like, "Ooh, look at what we did," So because we're going to go up from here, I think.
Right. And not only that, you'll see skewed numbers on disciplinary issues and absenteeism because kids were home and
right.
weren't,
Yeah.
And Kim, I think it's a super good point. Just to sort of, from a sort of logistical perspective, that first upper chart was actually on sort of our current reality slide, and it was just condensed into this one. Number one. But number two,
yeah.
I think there is a challenge with some of the, like Fairfax and Loudon, some of the Hispanic population growth and what that's impacting, but that actually came from a previous slide.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, I recognize that language barriers, I mean, I get that, that it is a challenge, but I also think that we need to make sure that we're representing that in a positive way. And it almost somewhat in the same vein is on the slide for campaign strategies. And here's the thing is, I know, and this is just information, take it for what it's worth, you guys, but ensuring early school success for low income children, I know that your guys' focus is, I mean, I think your focus is kids that aren't reading at 3rd grade, whether they're low income or not. And I think when we label kids low income, we're putting them in a place where it kind of keeps them low income. I mean, I just think words matter, and so I think it's more ensuring early school success for children, right? And the details of the low income stays within you guys or something. But just because I do think that as someone who struggled with 3rd grade reading when I was a kid, and I mean, we were middle income, I would say, and I mean, I hated reading. I hated it, and I wouldn't fall within what you guys are targeting. You would have missed me. And I'm sure that there's other kids out there that are in that same place. So,
Sure.
So anyways, I just again would encourage you to stay connected with Winchester Public Schools, as I know you are. You're working with them, so.
Yeah, Jake Poole is on our steering committee.
Yeah.
So Angie Kane, they've been really great. Jason's been very supportive.
Yeah.
It's been nice to see us all come together and say, look, how can we as a team make
initially with the attendance, now that Jim has
Yeah.
taken on that role. But,
That's a great,
yeah, so the school district obviously is the core of all of
Yeah.
this. And,
Yeah.
and, you know, our goal with the school is A, to align with their strategic plan, but B, I think as Andy sort of alluded in the very beginning, it's, you know, we put so much on the school district to fix all of our kids' problems, and there's so much out there that the school frankly, you know, doesn't necessarily always have touch points on. And so our goal with the campaign is to support the school, align with the school, but also provide them that level of comfort that we can also help tackle some of this and work and sort of synergize all of this together.
great.
So they're definitely an integral part of it, and we wouldn't. That's sort of step one. I think
Yeah.
we wouldn't be where we are today if we hadn't started in the school.
Great.
So
Thanks, you guys.
yeah, thank you all.
All right, next on the agenda is the Emergency Operations Plan readoption. Scott Kinsinger.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh,
We're readopting.
yes, I am, sir. So, the Code of Virginia requires all localities to have an emergency operations plan, review it periodically, and adopt it every 4 years. And that's why we're here in front of you. In 2018, Miller had presented this and had it adopted. Since I took over in 2019 as a coordinator, we had started working on it and refined it to meet all the current regulations and basically make a living document that we can use as a guideline what or if a disaster would happen in our community. So we have rewritten it, vetted it through the city manager, Dan, through our meeting coordinator for our region, and through our departments, department leadership. And we're seeking your approval to move this on to full council. Answer any questions?
Scott, I appreciate you putting this in front of us, because I've seen this several times, redoing it. I know every time the state changes or ordinances or whatever, we try to update ours to match theirs. Is it possible we just reference to theirs and save us some rework?
We, for the most part, we do. They have a guidance called the Virginia Emergency Disaster Law, it's 2000 or 2010, I believe it is. And that's what we reference in there. That's the guidance that we follow. So we kind of tweak the plan every 4 years. Kind of, you know, if there's an operation or something that they see that's happening in the state, then we kind of gear it that way. But it's kind of hard to fully ignore, and have a blanket
Try to reduce the 3 years of work.
And hence, you know, if we have a disaster or if we have a training or an exercise, we find things that aren't quite working right in the plan, we'll update it, make changes.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for putting the time in. I know it's, I'm sure, not easy, so certainly appreciate that.
Board with a
Yeah.
motion to approve.
Approve it forward to council.
Okay, none second.
All right.
Thank you.
All
All right. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a discussion of potential amendments to Chapter 13 of the Winchester City Code pertaining to regulations of massage salons, health clubs, etc. Presenters are Dan Hoffman and Patrick Owen.
Thank you, committee members, chairwoman, and members. So, this actually just came on our radar last week, so we don't have a presentation,
But didn't want to wait until March when we have the opportunity to talk to you about it today. In sum, Section 13 of our code of ordinances oversees massage parlors and to some degree health clubs, but the focus is massage. The last update to this section of code, Patrick, was probably 20 plus years ago.
2012, 2013, was
Minor adjustments then. When was it written?
first day of
99. So we're looking at about 20, 23 years old for the most part. It was written at a time definitely when there was much more scrutiny being given to massage parlors with the bad connotation. Many jurisdictions surrounding us have already either completely repealed their ordinances related to this or have overhauled them significantly. In large part, that's because the state already has some protections in place to protect our citizens, and also the code itself is particularly convoluted, and there's some additional processes that are redundant. So I'll give you a quick summary of what we're looking to change, but I'll start off with what the code currently says. So currently there's two permits that someone might seek with guidance from this code: a massage technician and then a massage establishment. So one is the person, one is the building. As it relates to the massage technician, there is already a state licensing process. There's a state board that a resident would go through to get licensed. This came to our attention with a situation last week where someone had gone through all of the state processes, which includes a background check, included a hearing before a panel because the person did have some criminal history. The state cleared that person to be a massage technician. The city requires them basically to go through a very similar process, where they again have to get another background check. It goes to the police. If there's something in their background, it goes to the police chief for approval. The current code does not give the police chief any discretion. It says if there is a felony at any point, at any time in their life of any nature, and I'm obviously paraphrasing, that the chief shall reject them. So I talked a little bit with the city attorney. That seemed a little bit broad and onerous, probably something that wouldn't stand up, especially since the state has said that this person can be a massage therapist in our district or in our jurisdiction. So we're going to bring back, when we come back for first reading, what you'll see is us entirely removing the massage technician component of this. The state license should be sufficient. They go through the qualifications. They go again through the background checks and the history. The state issues that license already. Jurisdictions around us don't even have. In fact, Frederick County completely repealed their section related to these. So we're going to bring back something that completely removes that component. We will just accept that the state license as meeting the requirements. Obviously, the police department and Captain Watson's here as well. I might ask him to chime in occasionally if there's a question I can't answer. He has been overseeing a lot of these applications. Captain Watson's very skilled and adept at looking at someone's background check and determining, their eligibility for certain positions. I don't believe Captain Watson is qualified to determine whether or not someone is a masseuse that has gone through the proper training as a masseuse, but we do check those kind of things. Again, it's administrative work that's already been done by the state that we're just kind of doing over again in large part. So that's the technician side of it. On the establishment side of it, there are very specific building requirements and specific to where a sink should go. So a lot of our businesses, and this again happened with the situation last week, they renovate their places of business. This particular salon where the applicant was going to be performing their job had a recent renovation, but the sink wasn't in the place that the code said the sink should be. So again, something that the building otherwise met all of the international building codes. It's a safe building. There's no issues. I spoke with our inspectors. Again, the building is a safe building, and it is perfectly set up to do this kind of thing, but our code is very specific. We're going to be stripping a lot of that out as well. I would like to keep a massage establishment permit because I do want PD to have basically a register of all of the active massage establishments in town. You know, there is obviously some massage parlors are fronts for human trafficking and some criminal activity. We actively monitor that, but I think short of us having something meaningful to act on, you know, we can already step in if we suspect something's happening. If we get a tip that there's something illegal going on in any business establishment, we can act upon it. What I would like us to keep in is the massage establishment permit, but solely just so that PD has a log of the active massage establishments in the city and a point of contact who must be a state licensed massage therapist. That's what we'll come back with. So a significantly reduced administrative burden for PD, a significantly easier process for our businesses, and I believe it still has some of the safeguards in place. If we were to determine or get a tip that something illegal was happening in one of these establishments, we can always come back in and do an inspection, hold someone accountable who has that establishment. That's what we're seeking to do. So happy to answer any questions about it. Patrick has been my lead on research and finding out what others are doing. Like I said, if it suits the committee, I can bring this back to the next committee, but that's March. I'd prefer to just bring you a first reading that reflects what we've described today, and any other guidance you give me. Captain Watson, if you want to come, I will put you on the spot. Captain Watson also been looking this, gave me some suggestions earlier this afternoon as well. Captain Watson, Patrick, anything else to add? Feel free if I misspoke to correct me.
No, I agree with Mr. Hoffman on the points that he's making, that it is very constrictive as it's currently written, and that, you know, we should look at things, totality of circumstances, as we say in law enforcement, and there should be some ability, for example, in this case, where somebody may have, you know, turned a corner and changed their lives from the wrong path to the right, giving them an opportunity to be a viable citizen and a business person in the city, you know, seems to me to be the right direction to go.
I can elaborate on anything that you pretty much covered all the highlights.
I would be interested in, and you can certainly include this in, you know, I mean, I think it would be fine to bring forward, you know, the changes, but I'd be interested in what the state licensing requirements are for the technician. Like, I know that's a background check and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, in this example, you know, what filters what do they use to determine, oh, it was this kind of crime, and so, you know, it's not associated with, you know, human trafficking or anything like that. So I'd be interested in kind of what are the triggers and how does the process work at the state level, just to ensure that, you know, we're not.
So with regard to the state level background check, as they refer to CBC, criminal background check, the petitioner has to submit their fingerprints to the Virginia State Police along with all their personal information, and that the Board of Nursing then would receive an actual copy of their criminal history. The board then reviews that criminal history, and if you read the state code, it is a bit subjective as far as what a disqualifier is. It's not very clear exactly. It mentions crimes of moral turpitude, but it doesn't go into a specific list or anything that clearly delineates what would be a disqualifier anywhere. I did ask to try to get some information from a member of that organization. I haven't heard back from her yet with regard to making sure that when those criminal histories are run, they can be run in different ways depending on what you're looking for. So, you know, is it showing if somebody has active protective orders against them?
yeah, that, it would be helpful to kind of know what that is, yeah. Counselor Beach?
So the way I understand it is, we made them go over 2 hurdles, and we're just trying to make it easier for them to go over 1 hurdle, which is equal or maybe even bigger than our hurdle. And we still want a permit, so we have record of what's going on in the city. I think it's good. One scenario, I thought there was a hotel in town that, you know, you have guests, and they don't have their own personnel to do this, so they outsource it to a spa or masseuse or whatever coming in. So they would have to get the technician license, but what about the establishment?
So the establishment where the massages are occurring has to do a massage establishment permit. And then each individual who works at that, if they are, whether they are contracted out or an employee of that organization, has to do a technician permit on each individual.
So
In a future scenario, rather than getting a massage technician through us, they would just have to show that they are using state licensed individuals. So I'll use the George Washington Hotel, for example, because I know they have a spa. They would apply for the establishment, and they would list the state licensed people who operate in their facility.
I appreciate any effort to streamline getting business to be up and running. Thank you.
Good? I think,
We're good.
yeah.
So if you give me a
Thumbs up?
Quick thumbs up vote. I'll move it to me. It'll probably be the first meeting, and we'll do first meeting in February, probably, to give us a little time to write something up and get it done.
So you
Yep.
make a motion to forward to council for a first reading.
Yep, second. All right, thank you. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Let me think about it. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Carrie, will you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Counselor Clark. Counselor Herbstreit.
Yes,
And Counselor Beach.
Yes.
we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.